Honey, where are my socks? Honey, where are my socks? Honey, where...
Daddy, would you like some sausage? Daddy, would you like... Fucker! You fucker! Hey, fucker!
Huh? What the f...
Hello again, this is Bionic Slime with another installment of my movie reviews. This time I'll be reviewing one of my more personal favorite films that I just saw recently, not to give you any total insight on what the review is, but this one I enjoyed quite thoroughly. This is Monsters vs. Aliens. Monsters vs. Aliens is brought to you by DreamWorks Pictures. It was directed by Rob Letterman and Conrad Vernon, and stars Reese Witherspoon, Hugh Laurie, Seth Rogen, Will Arnett, Stephen Colbert, Kiefer Sutherland, and Rainn Wilson. The plot. Susan Murphy is a bride-to-be who, on her wedding day, is inexplicably struck and flattened by a meteorite that fell from outer space. However, instead of being killed, radiation from the meteorite mutates Susan as she grows to gigantic proportions, being nicknamed Ginormica. After growing to enormous size, Susan is captured and kidnapped and taken to a secret military facility by General W.R. Monger, who has been collecting monsters all over the world for the past 50 years, including Bob the Blob, the Missing Link, Dr. Cockroach, and Insectosaurus. However, an alien race led by the demented Galaxor has invaded Earth with giant robots and alien clones, and the President has no choice but to unleash the population of monsters to battle off against the aliens in exchange for their freedom, and Susan must now learn to enjoy and deal with her new surroundings as well as fend off an alien invasion. Review the plot. Right away, from the plot title alone, you can definitely tell this movie was heavily influenced and parodies old B-monster films and old black and white horror movies from the old days. Bob, like The Blob, Creature in the Black Lagoon, The Fly, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. It's all very evident in the characters and certainly in the parodies and the tongue-in-cheek jokes that they reference throughout the film. The plot pretty much sells itself by the title alone. You already know what the basic setup is. So, in a way, I kind of like that they tell you right away, basically, what the entire film is going to be. You know what it's about. It's a catchy title, and it's a very catchy storyline because it's usually done in much more dramatic and more realistic effects. Like when you're doing real life monster movies and aliens, you try to make them look more creepy and cool and offensive and really neat to look at, whereas here they're done in a more cartoonish and kiddish way, yet they still maintain some of that humor and that spark of flavor that those older monster movies and current monster movies have. And I felt the story was very fresh, and as cartoony as it was, it really worked. I thought it was very clever, very funny, and they didn't pull back any punches with the humor. It wasn't going as deep as mature humor, say Shrek, but I definitely say this surpasses Shrek in terms of variety of intelligent as well as kid-friendly humor. Review the characters. I gotta say, whoever was casting for the actors to play this film needs to get a medal or award or some kind of notification, because this is a fantastic cast, absolutely marvelous. You got Hugh Laurie, who just practically steals every scene as Dr. Cockroach. He's hysterical, and he just brings the character to such unique life. It's so funny because, considering if you've ever seen him on House, this is such a weird role for him, and it just looks so good. Seth Rogen, always enjoys him. He has such a unique laugh with Bob. He's a very lovable character. Will Arnett, he really should get into more voice acting, because he's got such a natural flair for it. He's got such a natural voice for voice acting. He was great as the Missing Link, the Fisherman. Reese Witherspoon was good. She was very good, very believable. Had all the sounds and all the great anxiety you can sense in her voice as the character, as Susan. I absolutely laughed my ass off by Kiefer Sutherland and Stephen Colbert as the President and General W.R. Monger. They were just a riot. They were just so over the top and over exaggerated character personas that they fit right into them, and it fits sort of their celebrity image from their programs, which makes it even funnier when you see them. I mean, they both pretty much look like the actors in real life, except for more hair and Monger's part comparison to Sutherland. But anyway, and Rainn Wilson, Dwight from The Office. Oh, he was such a riot as Galaxia the alien. Not many people know that that's him, but it's him, and he does it so well. He gives such a sense of humor to that alien. I just can't get over this cast. It was absolutely awesome. And even though he didn't actually have any discernible voice actor, I loved Insectosaurus. He was such an adorably gigantic, weird creature. He got this gigantic bug caterpillar monster-like thing that was even bigger than Ginormica. And I thought he was just so cute because he's like a giant puppy, and yet he's so huge and capable of such destruction. Cinematography and the music. Cinematography works really well in here, especially with the 3D. Unlike most films like My Bloody Valentine, and that they don't do obvious 3D gags where they go right in your face with like a ping pong paddle. Actually, they do that in this movie. But what I mean is, the whole film is pretty much in 3D. There are no obvious 3D gags that are being thrown at you. They included everything. Ships flying, birds flying, things bouncing off the walls, missiles, lasers. It's all done in 3D. The film never stops with it. There are no specific stop and starter points for the 3D. It uses it throughout the entire film, and it works brilliantly because the film is beautifully animated. I really like the human designs on the human characters. They made them look very realistic, and yet they fit right in with these cartoonish monsters. Particularly the President and General W.R. Monger, they looked very real, very authentic and accurate to human people, and I was really impressed with how the animation style made them. Plus, all the characters are so very brightly colored, very distinguished, not like too obvious rainbow Care Berry colored, but just like distinguishable enough that they don't look like the same creature or same color scheme. It's an awesome movie. It's just beautifully visualized, and music too. There's plenty of little music gags and jokes and nods to the old monster movies of the days, and I can't get over how great this movie was, and it's hard for me to say anything bad about it, but there were a couple problems with it, and that brings me to cons about the film. The great thing about having an ensemble cast and having so many actors with playing so many unique characters is that you have a lot of variety to play off of. The downside to doing that is ultimately you will have to have one character outstand them all because she's the one you're following. And by she, I of course mean Susan Ginormica. This movie pretty much follows her point of view, which was a neat idea in the very beginning. It was excellent because you followed her freakish journey from going from normal to monster in one day. The downside of that is her problem became overbearing for the story at times, and while she is the focus, you have such a vibrant cast like Bob the Blob and Cockroach and Missing Link. They have their own funny, amusing personality quirks and traits, and I don't think they got used as properly as they should have. Dr. Cockroach got detailed quite thoroughly, and that's because he's the smart one, so he gets to talk a lot more often than the other two, who are mostly gag humor. But it just felt that at times Susan's character overshadowed everything, and that was the only really big thing that bothered me. It wasn't a glaring problem, but because it lasted so long over most of the course of the movie, I just felt it would have been nice to get a little more action with the monsters, the other guys, because they're fun too. It's their movie too. It's not just hers, even if she is the main focus. But that's about the only really bad thing I had a problem with the film. Nothing else really bothered me. Everything else, technical, vocal aspects, it was all top-notch stuff. As I said, I really can't say too much bad things about this film. Final wrap-up review. Monsters vs. Aliens, despite the fact that the gigantic lead, Susan Ginormica, kind of overshadows the other monsters at times, this is an absolutely fantastic film. I totally recommend it for people of all ages, adults, kids, teenagers. It's got plenty of humor, top-notch, 4-star perfect voice acting quality. You got so many great nods and little nudges and winks and hilarious little pokes at old monster jokes and movies and stuff like that. Just a great script, great dialogue. It was funny, it was fresh, and it felt very new with the 3D, and it didn't feel just overcluttered by the 3D. The movie was able to stand on its own without the 3D, and that's always great to have. Overall, I give Monsters vs. Aliens 4 stars out of 5. Alright, that's all the time I have for now. Thank you for listening, and bye for now.